The dark silence of space was broken by a sudden flash of light. Deep in the void, the alien fleet drifted silently, hundreds of ships moving like a living organism. Commander Zorath watched the stars through the main viewport of his flagship. He could feel it in his bones. Something was wrong. The usual signals from the humans were missing, replaced by a strange, tense quiet. His crew felt it too, whispering quietly among themselves, their alien voices low and nervous. Suddenly, the communication console lit up with a warning message from Earth. Zoratha's claws hovered over the controls, his eyes narrowing as he read the words. Final warning, attack humans, escape impossible. A chill ran through the bridge. Zorath had seen many battles, but nothing like this. Humans, they were supposed to be weak, primitive, easy to destroy. Yet somehow, they had sent a warning across light years, a warning that carried both threat and promise. The message left no doubt, humans were prepared. They were waiting. Zorath slammed his claws onto the console, and the message repeated itself in multiple languages of their fleet. He called his top officers. We have underestimated them, he said, voice low and dangerous. Humans are not what we thought. Their reach is longer than we imagined. Their technology, their strategy, they know we are coming. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, a tall alien with 4 glowing eyes, said, Commander, we can strike first. Crush them before they fully prepare. Zorath shook his head. No. We cannot risk it. They might be ready for anything. And even if we destroy some of them, the message, it is a warning. They know our weaknesses. We are being hunted. Escape is almost impossible now. Outside, stars streaked past as the fleet adjusted its course. For the first time in centuries, Zorath felt fear. He had always believed that space belonged to the strongest, that technology and power would protect his kind. But humans were different. There was a cleverness in them, a determination that no one had predicted. On Earth, humans were already moving. On massive stations orbiting their planet, generals and scientists worked side by side. Massive fleets powered up in the oceans, their weapons calibrated to target alien ships. The humans had studied the alien fleet for years, predicting movements, designing traps, and preparing defenses. They had learned to fight not just with force, but with strategy. Zorath did not know all of this yet, but he could feel it. Something in the human warning had touched a nerve deep within him. It was not just a threat. It was a challenge. And challenges were dangerous. The alien ships moved silently, avoiding patrols, skirting known human territories. Zorath called for a scouting team to probe the outer defenses. Small ships zipped through space, invisible shadows, observing and calculating. Data streamed back to the command center, each report more worrying than the last. Human detection systems were far more advanced than the aliens expected. Every attempted path of escape seemed to be blocked, every maneuver calculated and countered. We may have misjudged them, said another officer, voice trembling. If they can predict our every move. Zorath cut him off. Enough. Fear will not save us. Only action can. But action must be careful. We cannot attack recklessly. And retreat. Retreat is no longer an option. Our window is closing. The fleet moved closer to the edge of the solar system, but the humans were ready. Satellites and orbital stations scanned the incoming ships, sending signals back to Earth. Humans watched from command centers, eyes fixed on the screens. They were calm, almost too calm, as if they had expected this. They knew the aliens would arrive. They had prepared for this moment for decades. Zoratha's mind raced. He thought of battle tactics, escape routes, and diversionary attacks. Nothing seemed enough. Humans had thought of everything. And yet, part of him admired them. They were clever, relentless, and fearless. Qualities he had never seen in another species outside his own. On the bridge, tension was thick. Crews adjusted systems, ready for any command. Zoratha's claws tapped the console rhythmically, the only sound in the heavy silence. He stared at the stars, thinking of the humans who waited below, so small on their planet yet so powerful across the void. Could he outsmart them? Could his fleet survive the encounter? The alien commander knew one thing with certainty: humans were different. They were unpredictable, smart, and ready to defend themselves at all costs. Zorath realized that the warning had been more than a threat. It was a revelation. Humans were not prey. They were hunters in their own right. Suddenly, the main console blared an alert. Human ships had been detected ahead, their formations precise, their numbers greater than Zorath anticipated. Panic threatened to rise in the command center, but Zorath suppressed it. "Prepare for contact," he said, voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. "We will see if humans are as strong as they claim. And if they are, then escape will be impossible." The fleet moved forward, tension mounting. Outside, the stars seemed to blur as anticipation built. Somewhere on Earth, humans watched and waited. Somewhere in space, aliens prepared for a battle that would decide the fate of both species. And in that silent, dark void, only one thing was certain: the war was about to begin, and no one would leave unchanged. The humans were ready. On the surface, cities lit up as massive command centers hummed with activity. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders moved quickly but calmly, each action precise, each decision calculated. They had been waiting for this day, preparing for decades, knowing that the aliens would come, and that they had to be clever to survive. Admiral Lee watched the screens, his eyes scanning the incoming signals from orbiting satellites. "They are here," he said quietly, but his voice carried the weight of command. Soldiers and officers around him nodded, their faces tense but determined. The humans had built weapons that could reach beyond the atmosphere, missiles guided by AI, ships that could move faster than anything the aliens had encountered before. Every system was tested, every crew trained, and every strategy rehearsed. Deep beneath the oceans, massive fleets stirred. Submarines and underwater bases had been equipped with cutting-edge technology designed to strike alien ships from unexpected angles. Humans had learned that brute force alone would not win this battle. Strategy, speed, and intelligence were their greatest weapons. Far above the planet, orbiting stations scanned the skies. Telescopes and sensors tracked every movement of the alien fleet. Humans had studied them for years, learning patterns, analyzing technology, and predicting their moves. When the aliens made even the smallest adjustment in formation, computers alerted the command centers. Every human commander knew what the others were doing, and every ship was ready to respond in a coordinated strike. In space, the alien scouts moved carefully, sending data back to Commander Zorath. They thought humans were weak and slow. They had been wrong. Each report showed human defenses far stronger than expected, prepared for every possible maneuver. Zorath's stomach twisted. He had expected fear, chaos, and weakness. Instead, he saw order, intelligence, and precision. Back on Earth, a young scientist named Elena adjusted the controls of a new weapon system. Her hands were steady, her mind sharp. "Target the approaching fleet," she instructed the AI. The system responded instantly, calculating trajectories, enemy speeds, and optimal attack points. Humans did not just fight, they predicted, adapted, and countered. Admiral Lee turned to his team. "Remember, this is not just about firepower," he said. "This is about outsmarting them. They may be advanced, but we are humans. We learn, we adapt, and we fight together." His words filled the room with focus and courage. Zorath observed the humans from afar, unaware of the depth of their preparations. His fleet moved cautiously, scanning the void for any sign of weakness. But each time they thought they found a gap, humans had already filled it with sensors, patrol ships, or defenses. The aliens' usual tricks, speed, surprise, and intimidation, were ineffective. Humans had anticipated every possibility. Suddenly, an alert flashed across Admiral Lee's screen. Alien scouts had entered orbit. Missiles launched automatically, targeting the ships with precise accuracy. The small alien vessels tried to dodge, but the humans had accounted for their every maneuver. One by one, the the scouts were disabled, forced to retreat, leaving behind no escape for their fleet. Commander Zorath watched in disbelief. His officers whispered nervously. "They predicted everything," one said. "They know our fleet better than we know ourselves." Zorath's claws clenched. He had never faced an enemy like this. Humans were not just fighters, they were thinkers, strategists, and innovators. On Earth, the operation continued without hesitation. Human pilots soared into space in sleek ships, moving with skill and precision. Missiles streaked across the void, intercepting alien ships before they could regroup. Elena's team guided every strike, adjusting for speed and direction in real time. Humans were everywhere, connected by technology and determination, a single, unstoppable force. Zorath realized that escape was becoming impossible. Every route, every path through space, was covered by humans. Their prediction systems were faster than anything he had encountered. His fleet could no longer move freely. They were trapped in a net of human intelligence. As the alien commander considered his options, a new thought struck him. Humans were not just defending, they were learning from every move, adapting instantly. They turned the aliens' speed and strength against them, outmaneuvering them at every turn. Zorath felt a cold certainty. If the humans fought like this, there would be no way to win with brute force. The humans did not celebrate. They stayed focused, calm, and ready for the next move. Every ship, every soldier, and every scientist knew that the real battle was only beginning. They were prepared not just to defend, but to fight back, and they had already made the first strike with precision and confidence. Zorath's voice was low, almost a growl. "Prepare the main fleet. They are stronger than we expected. We must adapt, or we will be destroyed." His officers nodded, fear and respect in their eyes. They had underestimated humans, and now they understood the danger. Above Earth, the human fleets continued their patrols. Each missile, each ship, each sensor was part of a bigger plan. Humans were not just waiting, they were hunting, preparing to strike with intelligence, courage, and determination. And somewhere in the silence of space, Commander Zorath knew that the humans had already taken the first step toward victory. The aliens' escape had become impossible, and the true test of their strength was about to begin. The alien fleet moved cautiously, every ship alert, every sensor scanning the void ahead. Commander Zorath felt the weight of the warning from Earth pressing down on him. Humans were not just waiting, they were ready. And now, the first confrontation was about to happen. Far above Earth, the human fleet was already in position. Sleek ships glinted in the sunlight, their formations precise, almost like a living organism. Pilots adjusted their helmets and checked controls one last time. None of them spoke, but the tension was thick. They had trained for this moment, studied the aliens' movements, and were prepared to strike with intelligence, courage, and precision. The first scouts appeared on the sensors. Small alien ships, fast and agile, attempted to probe human defenses. But the humans were ready. Missiles streaked across space with perfect accuracy, guided by AI and skilled pilots. One by one, the alien scouts were destroyed or forced to retreat. Zorath's claws tightened around the console. "They are faster than we expected," he growled. "They anticipated every move. We need a new plan." The humans did not hesitate. Massive warships, equipped with advanced energy shields and long-range weapons, moved into position. Their fleet was not the largest in the galaxy, but it was smart, coordinated, and relentless. Every human commander knew their role. Every ship moved with purpose, covering the gaps and protecting allies. As the alien scouts tried to regroup, human ships intercepted them from multiple directions. The aliens fired their weapons, brilliant beams of energy slicing through the darkness, but humans had prepared countermeasures. Deflectors, shields, and evasive maneuvers made most attacks useless. Each human strike was calculated, hitting alien ships at weak points while avoiding unnecessary risk. Zorath's officers were nervous. "Commander, they are not only defending, they are predicting us," one said. "Every move we make, they counter it instantly." Zoratha's eyes narrowed. Then we must be unpredictable. Split the fleet. Attack from different directions. Force them to make mistakes. The alien fleet divided, moving in several directions at once, hoping to confuse the humans. But the humans were ready for this. Satellites and sensors tracked every movement. AI systems analyzed the data instantly, sending instructions to ships and weapons. Humans adapted faster than the aliens could imagine, covering gaps, reinforcing weak points, and coordinating strikes with terrifying precision. In the middle of the chaos, a human pilot named Marcus felt a thrill he had never known. His small fighter zipped between alien ships, dodging blasts and striking with perfect timing. He was part of a plan larger than himself, connected with every ship and every soldier. Humans were proving that strategy and courage could overcome even the most fearsome alien technology. The aliens panicked as more scouts were destroyed. Zorath barked orders, but coordination was slipping. Humans were everywhere, appearing where they were least expected, striking when the aliens least expected it. The battle was not just about weapons, it was about intelligence, courage, and unity, things humans had in abundance. "Commander, they are too smart," another officer said, voice trembling. "We cannot predict them. Every maneuver we make, they counter." Zoratha's jaw tightened. He had never seen anything like this. The humans were clever, fast, and relentless. They were turning the aliens' strength against them. Even his best pilots struggled to match the humans' coordination. On Earth, Admiral Lee watched the battle unfold on massive screens. His fingers tapped lightly on the console as he directed fleets and adjusted strategies. "Remember," he said to his team, "we do not fight just with weapons. We fight with brains. Stay calm, stay smart, and strike with precision." The human plan worked perfectly. Alien scouts were destroyed, their signals jammed, and their fleet forced into defensive positions. Zorath realized that brute force would not work. Humans had prepared for this encounter in ways he could barely comprehend. They had used their intelligence to anticipate every possibility, to outmaneuver a fleet far larger than themselves, and to strike without hesitation. Outside, space was alive with flashes of light and the hum of engines. The humans were relentless, moving in perfect harmony, while the aliens struggled to regain control. Every strike, every maneuver, every human action was calculated to create maximum effect with minimum risk. Zorath clenched his claws. He had always believed that superior technology and firepower would guarantee victory. But the humans were different. They were clever, adaptable, and brave. They did not just fight, they thought, they learned, they predicted. And now, his fleet was beginning to understand a terrifying truth. Escape was not just difficult, it was becoming impossible. The first direct encounter was over, but it was only the beginning. Humans had shown their strength, their intelligence, and their courage. The aliens had learned that brute force alone would not win the war. And Commander Zorath knew that in the battles to come, every move would be more dangerous, every decision more critical, and every choice a matter of life or death. The void of space seemed endless, yet for the aliens, every second brought them closer to an inescapable trap. And for the humans, every second proved their brilliance, their unity, and their determination. The stage was set for a war that would decide the fate of both species, and neither side would ever be the same again. Commander Zorath stared at the display, his heart pounding. His fleet was trapped. Every possible escape route had been predicted, blocked, or watched by humans. Sensors blinked endlessly with warnings. Humans were everywhere, above, below, and all around the fleet. Zoratha's mind raced. He had never felt such fear. He had fought wars across galaxies, faced enemies who outnumbered and outgunned him, yet nothing compared to the brilliance of humans. "We must retreat," Zorath barked to his officers. "We find another path. We leave this system immediately." The officers scrambled. Navigation officers calculated dozens of possible routes, trying to find even the smallest gap. Scouts were sent ahead to probe human defenses. But every path led to a dead end. Humans had anticipated it all. Satellites, orbital weapons, and mobile fleets blocked each route. The aliens' faster-than-light drives could only do so much. Even their speed could not overcome human strategy. "We cannot escape," said one officer, his voice trembling. "Every route is covered. They have us trapped." Zoratha's claws clenched. "Then we must fight our way out." He had hoped to avoid battle, to retreat and live another day, but humans had forced his hand. Yet even as he spoke, he realized how impossible it would be. Humans had prepared for this moment, and the aliens' usual tricks, speed, surprise, and brute force, were useless. Below, humans monitored the alien movements carefully. Admiral Lee's eyes were sharp, scanning multiple screens at once. Every alien maneuver was predicted, every strategy countered. The humans had studied the aliens for years. They knew their tactics, their strengths, and their weaknesses. To escape, the aliens would have to outthink humans, but humans had already thought ahead. The first alien ships tried to break through. Engines flared as they accelerated, weaving between missile fire and energy beams. The humans were relentless. Every attack was calculated. Shields absorbed some damage, but humans focused on disabling engines and navigation systems. One by one, alien ships slowed, their crews panicking as they realized escape was slipping away. Zorath roared in frustration. "They predicted everything. They are not afraid. How is this possible?" An officer whispered, "Commander, humans are different. They do not just fight, they plan, they adapt, they learn. We cannot outfight them with force alone." Zoratha's eyes narrowed. He had always believed power and technology could win wars. But humans were clever, coordinated, and unyielding. The more he tried to find a route to safety, the more apparent it became. Escape was no longer an option. Above the planet, human fleets advanced. Small attack ships swooped in to intercept fleeing aliens, while larger warships created barriers in orbit. Humans anticipated alien maneuvers, setting traps that the aliens could not see until it was too late. Missiles and energy beams cut through space, targeting critical points with precision. Alien ships tried to respond, but they were already behind, forced into defensive formations they had never trained for. Zorath realized that humans had used strategy, intelligence, and coordination to turn the table completely. The alien strength was meaningless if they could not move freely, and freedom was now gone. Every fleet movement, every attempt to break through, was met with immediate countermeasures. Humans had taken the advantage without firing a single overwhelming strike. They had simply outthought their enemy. Desperation filled the alien bridge. Zorath barked more orders, trying to find weaknesses, trying to force an opening. But humans anticipated each plan, predicting movements with unnerving accuracy. It was as if humans were everywhere at once, and yet nowhere, striking exactly where it mattered. Below, Admiral Lee watched the final reports of the alien scouts. "They are trapped," he said calmly. "Prepare to hold position. Let them make mistakes. We have them where we want." Zorath felt a sinking realization. He had always counted on speed and cunning to survive. But humans had proven something terrifying. Intelligence and unity could overcome any force. They did not rely on sheer power, they relied on brains, coordination, and courage. And now, the aliens were caught in a net from which there was no escape. Panic rippled through the alien fleet. Ships turned frantically, trying to find any gap in the human defenses, any route that might be open. But every move was predicted, countered, and blocked. Zoratha's mind raced, trying to come up with some plan that could save his fleet, some maneuver that humans had not considered. But humans had considered everything. The alien commander realized, with a chilling certainty, that this battle would not be won through firepower alone. The humans had turned strategy into a weapon more powerful than any beam or missile. Escape was impossible. Retreat was impossible. The aliens were caught, and now they had to face humans on their terms. Space seemed to close in around them. The alien fleet, once confident and powerful, was now trapped, outmaneuvered, and terrified. Every ship that attempted to flee was met with counterattack, every tactic neutralized. Humans had done the impossible. They had turned the odds completely in their favor without even launching a full-scale strike. Zorith clenched his claws, a grim expression on his face. There was no going back, no retreat. Humans had prepared, predicted, and trapped his fleet. The next step was clear: they would have to fight, and the battle ahead would decide the fate of both species. And in the quiet moments before the clash, Zorith understood the truth. Humans were not just survivors, they were hunters, thinkers, and warriors. Escape was gone. The war had truly begun, and the aliens were already losing. Commander Zorith stared at the display, his claws tight on the console. His fleet was trapped, and every attempt to escape had failed. The humans were everywhere, precise and relentless. But he would not surrender easily. He needed a plan, a strike that could break the humans' hold, yet every idea he had was countered before it could even be tried. Below, on Earth, humans were preparing their next move. Admiral Lee leaned over the holographic map of space, pointing at the alien fleet. "They are trapped," he said calmly. "Now it is time to finish what we started. We strike with precision, and we leave no chance for them to regroup." Human engineers adjusted weapon systems, directing power to advanced long-range energy cannons and new missile arrays. These were weapons designed specifically for the aliens, targeting weaknesses discovered during years of observation. Scientists had worked alongside military strategists to create tools that were not just powerful, but smart. They calculated the alien fleet's every possible move, predicting reactions, and ensuring the humans always had the upper hand. In orbit, fleets of human ships moved into position. Smaller fighters zipped around the edges, ready to intercept any escape attempts. Larger capital ships formed precise formations, their energy shields humming, their weapons charged. Humans had planned this attack for years, and now, it was about to begin. Zorith watched nervously as humans began their strike. Small ships darted from multiple directions, their engines leaving trails of blue light. Missiles fired from every angle, guided by AI and piloted by skilled humans. Alien ships scrambled, but humans anticipated every move, countering evasions and cutting off retreat routes. "Commander, they are attacking from all sides," an officer shouted. "We cannot defend against everything at once." Zorith's claws raked the console in frustration. He realized what humans were doing. It was not just an attack, it was a trap. They had lured the aliens into a position where escape was impossible, where every move would be met with a counterstrike. Humans were thinking faster, adapting faster, and acting with precision that no alien fleet had ever faced. On the battlefield, a young human pilot named Marcus felt the thrill of the attack. He weaved his fighter through enemy fire, dodging beams of energy, and striking at weak points in alien ships. Around him, other pilots moved in perfect harmony, striking together, covering one another, and ensuring no alien could escape. Humans were proving that courage combined with intelligence could overcome even the most terrifying enemy. Zorith tried to regroup his forces. Alien ships fired, attempting to break the human formation. But the humans had already predicted this. Shields absorbed the attacks, and counterstrikes disabled engines and weapon systems on the aliens. One by one, alien ships fell out of formation, struggling to survive against an enemy who seemed to anticipate every move before it happened. "Commander, they are too clever," another officer whispered. "Every plan we have, they counter it instantly. We are losing control." Zorith's eyes narrowed. He had faced many enemies, but humans were different. They were not just powerful, they were smart, coordinated, and fearless. Each human move was calculated to maximize effect and minimize risk. Even when facing advanced alien technology, they found ways to exploit weaknesses, turn the aliens' strength against them, and control the battlefield. On Earth, Admiral Lee smiled slightly, watching the results of the counterattack. "Good," he said. "Hold positions, strike when needed, and keep them contained. They cannot escape, and they will soon learn that humans do not give up." Zorith's fleet was reeling. Ships that had once been confident and aggressive were now on the defensive. The The humans' bold counterattack had forced them into chaos, dividing their forces and destroying their morale. Even the most experienced alien officers were struggling to maintain control. Desperation filled the bridge of the flagship. Zorath barked orders, trying to regroup, but humans had planned for this. Their systems tracked alien movements, predicting reactions, and guiding each strike with surgical precision. The aliens' speed and firepower were no longer enough. Humans had turned strategy, intelligence, and unity into the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. As the battle raged, Zorath realized that survival depended not on strength but on outsmarting the humans, a task that seemed impossible. Every move, every decision, was countered. The humans were relentless, daring, and precise. The alien commander's mind raced. He had underestimated humans from the beginning. He had thought they were primitive, weak, and unprepared. Now he understood the truth. Humans were more than soldiers. They were thinkers, problem-solvers, and warriors in their own right. And in this battle, intelligence and unity had become more deadly than any weapon. Space burned with energy blasts and streaks of missile fire. Alien ships tried to flee, to regroup, to survive, but humans anticipated every move. The counterattack was brilliant, relentless, and calculated. Zorath knew that the next steps would determine the fate of his fleet, and possibly the entire war. And in the midst of the chaos, one truth became clear. Humans had not only stopped the aliens, they had shown that intelligence, courage, and unity could turn the impossible into reality. The aliens were trapped, and their fate rested in the hands of humans who refused to be outsmarted. Commander Zorath's claws clenched the console as he watched the humans advance. His fleet was trapped, scattered, and struggling to maintain control. Every alien maneuver was met with a counter, every attack anticipated and neutralized. He had hoped to find an opening, a weakness, anything that could give his fleet a chance, but humans had none of it. Every move was calculated, every strike precise, and every ship coordinated as if connected by a single mind. "Prepare for full assault," Zorath barked. "If we cannot escape, we must fight our way through." The alien fleet roared to life. Energy weapons charged, engines flared, and beams of destructive power cut through the void. Alien ships fired in every direction, trying to break human lines, to create chaos, to find even the smallest gap for escape. But the humans were ready. Below, Admiral Lee watched calmly, directing human forces with precision. "Hold the lines. Focus on their engines and weapon systems first. Then strike the rest. Keep them divided. Do not underestimate them, but do not hesitate." The human fleet moved like a single organism. Fighters darted through the gaps between alien ships, drawing fire and then disappearing before they could be hit. Capital ships fired long-range energy beams, striking alien engines, shields, and weapons. Missiles streaked across space, guided by AI and human skill alike. Every attack was precise, every strike measured to cause maximum damage and minimal risk. Zorath roared in frustration. Alien ships were being destroyed faster than they could recover. Every attempt to regroup ended in failure. The humans were everywhere, striking from directions the aliens had not even considered. The fleet's cohesion was breaking, panic spreading among officers and crews alike. One alien officer shouted, "Commander! They are too clever. They anticipate every move." Zorath's eyes narrowed. "Then we fight with cunning. Split the fleet, attack from multiple angles, and force them to make mistakes." The alien fleet divided, attempting to surround the human forces. But humans anticipated it. Fighters intercepted the flanks, while capital ships adjusted formations in real time. Humans had prepared for division tactics, for overwhelming speed, for surprise attacks. Nothing the aliens did was unexpected. In the thick of the battle, human pilots felt both fear and exhilaration. Marcus weaved his fighter through a hail of alien fire, striking ships that blocked the escape of others. He saw human teamwork in action, fighters covering each other, capital ships supporting from behind, and AI systems predicting alien movements. Humans were not just fighting, they were thinking, planning, and adapting in real time. Zorath realized the horrifying truth. Humans had turned intelligence, courage, and unity into a weapon stronger than any beam, missile, or shield. Alien ships fell one by one, engines destroyed, weapons disabled, crews panicking. Even the most experienced officers struggled to maintain control. "Commander!" another officer cried. "Our fleet is breaking apart. We cannot hold." Zorath clenched his jaw. He had underestimated humans, believing that superior firepower and technology could win any battle. But humans were different. They were clever, fearless, and relentless. Every move was calculated. Every strike was perfect. Every gap exploited. The alien strength was meaningless if they could not move, react, or escape. Admiral Lee leaned over the command console, eyes sharp and calm. "We are not just defending. We are teaching them a lesson. Intelligence and unity will always win over brute force. Keep them contained, and the battle is ours." Zorath watched helplessly as more alien ships were disabled. The humans struck with surgical precision, disabling engines, destroying weapons, and cutting off reinforcements. Panic spread among the alien crews. Zorath knew that the fight was slipping from his grasp. Escape was gone. Survival was in question. In a final desperate move, the alien commander ordered all remaining ships to fire in unison, aiming to overwhelm the humans with sheer power. The void lit up with energy beams and missiles streaking through space. But humans had predicted even this. Shields absorbed blasts, fighters intercepted missiles, and capital ships fired counterbeams, disabling alien weapons before they could reach their targets. One by one, alien ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. Zorath's flagship rocked from multiple hits, alarms blaring as systems failed. He knew it was over. Humans had outsmarted them at every turn, anticipated every tactic, and fought with courage and intelligence that no alien force had ever faced. Zorath's claws dropped to his sides. He looked at the humans on the sensors, small, yet unstoppable. His fleet was shattered, his plans failed, and his escape impossible. The humans had won. And in the silence that followed the destruction, one truth was clear. Humans were not just fighters, they were thinkers, problem solvers, and warriors. They had turned the impossible into reality. They had faced an alien armada, adapted, and triumphed. The war had been decided not by technology alone, but by intelligence, courage, and unity. Commander Zorath knew that his fleet had survived only barely, and that the humans had set a standard that no alien had ever faced before. And for the first time, he understood something terrifying. The humans were not to be underestimated ever again. Space was quiet now, but the message was clear. Humans had won the battle. Aliens had been defeated. And the galaxy had witnessed the rise of a species that could face impossible odds, and prevail. The void of space was quiet. The alien fleet, once proud and terrifying, was reduced to scattered remnants. Fires burned on damaged ships, engines sputtered, and crews struggled to keep systems alive. Commander Zorath's flagship drifted slowly, crippled and powerless. The humans had done what no one thought possible. They had trapped, outsmarted, and defeated a fleet that had once seemed unstoppable. Zorath stared at the sensors, his eyes narrowing. He had fought countless battles across galaxies, but never had he faced an enemy like this. Humans were not just strong, they were clever, adaptable, and fearless. Every move, every strategy, every attack had been met with a precise counter. His fleet had been undone not by raw power, but by intelligence and unity. On Earth, Admiral Lee watched the aftermath on the main screen. Human ships held their formations, energy weapons ready but unused. Fighters patrolled the area cautiously, scanning for any remaining alien threat. The humans had won without excessive risk, using brains and coordination to secure victory. Marcus, the young pilot, looked at the wreckage through his cockpit window. He felt a strange mixture of relief and pride. Humans had faced a terrifying alien fleet and come out victorious. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could turn the impossible into reality. And this was only the beginning. Back on the alien flagship, Zorath struggled to regain composure. His officers were silent, exhausted, and fearful. "Commander, what do we do now?" one asked. Zoratha's voice was low, almost a growl. "We retreat, for now. But humans are different. We underestimated them. We will remember this day." Even as he spoke, he knew the truth. The humans had not only defended their planet, they had reshaped the galaxy's understanding of what a species could do. They had outthought, outmaneuvered, and outlasted a powerful fleet. Humans were not merely survivors, they were hunters, thinkers, and warriors. On Earth, celebrations were quiet but meaningful. Commanders debriefed, engineers checked systems, and scientists analyzed the data. Humanity had survived the encounter, and had done so with brilliance and efficiency. But no one underestimated the lesson they had learned. Vigilance, intelligence, and courage were what kept them alive. They had faced the impossible and won, but the galaxy remained full of threats. In space, the remaining alien ships fled, limping back toward the distant corners of the galaxy. Zoratha's fleet was broken, but some ships survived. He sent a message to the alien homeworld, a report of defeat and warning. He knew humans had sent a message that would echo through alien civilizations: underestimate humans at your own peril. Meanwhile, human leaders considered the future. Admiral Lee addressed his team: "We have won today, but we must be ready. Humans are strong, clever, and united. That is our greatest weapon. And it is also our responsibility to protect our planet, and perhaps one day, the galaxy." Marcus and his squad returned to the carrier, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it," he said softly. "We really did it." Around him, other pilots nodded, knowing that they had taken part in something historic. Humans had faced an overwhelming alien threat, and they had won. Even in victory, humans stayed vigilant. Satellites continued scanning, fleets patrolled, and scientists worked to improve technology. They had proven their strength, but they knew that the galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers. Today, they had survived. Tomorrow, they would be ready. In the remnants of space, Zorath made a final note in his log. Humans were not to be underestimated. Their intelligence, bravery, and unity made them a force unlike any other. Escape had been impossible, and now defeat was inevitable. He vowed that his people would learn from this, prepare, and return one day, but he knew it would not be easy. Humans had set a standard that would be remembered across the stars. The humans looked at the horizon, knowing their victory was not just in surviving, but in proving the strength of their species. They had faced the impossible, adapted, and conquered. Humanity had shown what it meant to be brilliant, brave, and united. And somewhere deep in space, the faint signal of the surviving alien ships drifted away. Zoratha's fleet would recover, plan, and perhaps return, but humanity had already sent a warning: the galaxy had changed. Humans were no longer prey. They were hunters, thinkers, and warriors. And the next time the aliens returned, they would face a species ready for anything. The stars stretched endlessly, silent and watchful. Humanity had triumphed, but the universe was vast. The war had been won, the lesson had been taught, and the legacy of courage, intelligence, and unity would shine across the galaxy. Humans had survived the impossible, and nothing would ever make them back down.